Many know about slavery, but few discuss paper genocide. We did not all come from Africa, and most of us have Aboriginal roots that were stripped away due to reclassification and miseducation. As a native Black American and a member of the Muscogee Creek Nation, I understand the importance of tracing your lineage. If you want to learn how to trace your genealogy and apply for tribal citizenship, send an email to mike@keymediapro.com to schedule a consultation. We're going to take a look at those $5 Indians on the reservation. We're going to take a look at those red, native, anti-Black $5 racists that fill most reservations. And since I'm a card-carrying member of the Muscogee Creek Nation, I think it would only be appropriate for me to focus on the $5 Indians within my own tribe. Come on, y'all. We got a Joe Anderson. Joe Anderson is cosplaying as a Native American and is against Black Indians for some reason. Anthony Beaver is also in opposition of the freedmen for some reason. Guys, let's get into it. Let's see what the $5 Indians got to say.
I hope it's upheld. I hope that we keep citizenship as it is, by blood. It's a full citizen, so that means I'm above a quarter. And that's also in our Constitution. To hold elected office, you have to be a quarter above. And I've always agreed with that. Of course, there's problems with this new form of tribal government. One thing, when the 1979 Constitution was ratified, they took out the House of Kings and they took out the House of Warriors. And I always thought that was a mistake. But this was never our form of tribal government. It was forced on us. If you look at our history, every treaty was a handful of people to sign it. They were intimidated, bribed, and none of them were upheld. No treaties. And this one that the freedmen are using to get citizenship.
Look at the wordplay, y'all. Look at the wordplay. Look at the body language. Peep how he had to take a big gulp before he finishes his sentence. The treaty that the freedmen are trying to use, you mean the treaty you signed with the United States government that said the freedmen would become free and get full citizenship and tribal benefits? You mean that one? It's not that the freedmen are trying to use something, $5 Indian fuck nigga face ass boy, but that's a treaty that you signed with the government. So why do you want to cry about the government breaking treaties and being Indian givers if when it comes to the treaty with the freedmen, you want to break that one, huh? You want to break that treaty, but we supposed to feel sorry that the government's breaking treaties with your ass. Oh, okay.
You know, it's in 4 days, it'll be 152 years old. So how far do we go back? You know, every single one of them has been violated. And like I said, it was always a handful of signers. It was never every town in our Confederacy. When it was the full council, you can look in our history, and they never agreed on any of these treaties. Most of them were land cessions, starting back in Alabama and Georgia.
If your ancestors didn't agree to the treaties, what the fuck are you doing in Oklahoma? Why are you in Oklahoma? Lying ass motherfucker. Why are you in Oklahoma? If all of these treaties are fake and your ancestors really didn't sign any of these treaties, then what the fuck are you doing in Oklahoma when our ancestral Creek homeland is Alabama? Oh, you know, he's living on the res, getting them government handouts, and it's all peachy. But when it comes to the Treaty of 1866, hey, the treaty was 150 years ago, and some people signed, but not everybody signed, and you know, motherfucker can't even look us in the eye. Look at him, old bitch made.
Georgia, and then up until post removal, there would have been, I guess, two. One before the 1866 treaty, where Seminoles got their own they were under the Creek Nation at one time, but that one gave them their own constitution. I look at it as, from the beginning, what Creek people were, who we were, where we come from, and anybody who ever came into our nation. I mean, even on our rolls now, go back to the Dawes rolls, we had Mexicans on our rolls, we had adopted whites, and then of course the freedmen rolls. But when you go,
they adopted whites, guys. They adopted whites, and he doesn't have anything negative to say about the whites they adopted, but he got something to say about why he doesn't think the blacks should get proper citizenship and benefits, huh? But they adopted the whites, and he thinks it's okay to have the whites. Yeah, he think he's slick, don't he? He think he's slick. I'm about to pick his ass apart like a prosecutor. You know you done fucked up, right? You know you done fucked up.
To the Dawes rolls and look into that history, that was a mess in itself. There was no Bureau of Vital Statistics. There was no official birth certificates. What you had were people going around asking questions. And most of them back then, the freedmen, they did live around Creek people. They did speak our language.
Oh, so we lived with you and we like spoke your language, but like somehow we're not part of the tribe because we're too dark. We have too much melanin. We don't look slant eye Mongolian enough for you. Oh.
So that's how they identified themselves. Now, they might not be born to a Creek parent, but that's just what they told them. And there was really no investigation into that. That's in, you can look that up, and that's how they formed these roles. And it was no secret that outsiders, they wanted to be on these roles because when it went from the breakup of our communal land to individual allotments, that's why they formed the roles. And people wanted to know, how can I get this land? How can, we got 160 acres, 40-acre homes.
So basically he's trying to sneak this and say without saying that he thinks the black people, even though they lived with the Creek Indians and spoke the language and were a part of the community, he thinks they just want to get some piece of land. He's going to totally negate the treaty that the Creek Nation signed in 1866 with the U.S. government. He's going to totally negate that. It's because some black folks want to steal some land. But he ain't saying a goddamn thing about all them white $5 Indians they adopted into the tribe. Maybe his grandmama one of them.
Standing at 120-acre surplus land. But even on those rolls, there's errors. I've built a database for the tribe at one time, and to be an enrolled citizen, we have to prove by blood. So there can be no holes in our ancestry. If you're missing birth certificates, then you're not going to be able to be enrolled. And when you look at the freedmen census cards, you will see errors on their census cards. There's question marks by their parents, and then all of a sudden it's listed Creek as their citizenship. But if that was our case in our genealogy, we would not be able to be enrolled. So no, that's just some more errors with that came along with the whole Dawes Commission, the rolls, and but in the end. I would like to see our Constitution upheld, the 1979.
Sir, it's 2024. I'm not going to reach through the airwaves and make your face run into my hand. You can just say you don't like black people. It's okay. We know you grew up poor, methed out on the reservation in squalor, and you probably saw bad things about black folks on the media, and you developed a disdain and an anti-black sentiment. You can just be honest with us, because the rationale you're trying to give doesn't make sense. Guys, this is such a conundrum because this whole thing about blood quantum is something that was forced on us natives by the European invaders. Don't no other group of people go by no fucking blood quantum. The Russians don't say, hey, you have to have this amount of Russian blood. The Irish don't say you got to have this amount of Russian blood, or excuse me, Irish blood. I'm sorry, I get my Europeans mixed up. All of them look the same. But guys, no other ethnic group goes by blood quantum. The Indians, although they have a caste system, they don't go by blood quantum. No Asian country that I know of goes by blood quantum, but the $5 Indians want to use Uncle Sam's racist laws that they forced on the indigenous folks to hide behind their secret anti-black desires. Okay.
Even though there's errors in that, there's even, you look at this U.S. Constitution, there's still debating different laws that have stood since 1776. During the Dawes Commission at one time, our National Council did issue a resolution stating that they didn't think that the Allotment Act was in the best interest of people. And I personally would like to see our council do the same on this lawsuit, because I don't think it's in the best interest of our nation to add all these citizens. I like it how it is.
You know, I like it how it is. I don't want no color folks on the res getting some of our money. I like it the way it is. Come on. Come on. And guys, this video was years ago. This video was 6 years ago when the Creek Freedmen were first initiating a lawsuit. Guess what? Fast forward, we won that lawsuit. And I say we, even though I don't descend from a Creek Freedman, because let me give you guys some context. I'm a very open and very transparent individual. So let me just go ahead and give you guys some historical context. And this will also be a great advertisement for my genealogy consultation services, because this is the type of stuff I teach you guys how to research and find on your own. But let me just log in to my Ancestry.com account real quick so I can pull up my family tree and show you guys what I'm talking about here. All right, here we go. So my closest, most recent lineal ancestor, I was a card-carrying member of the Muscogee Creek Nation. Pull him up right here in a second. Most recent ancestor, Pleasant Tobler. He was born in 1903. Pleasant Tobler. Pleasant Tobler descended from Fred Tobler and Mary Adams. Now, this is how they get away with their anti-black racist shit, right? Let's go ahead and look on the Dawes roll real quick. Type in my ancestors roll number 1017. Find them on the list real quick, fast. We freestyle them. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. We got him right here on the Dawes roll. Pleasant Tobler. He's placed on the roll at 2 years old. Gender is male. Blood quantum is 1/2. There's his roll number. He's a Creek by blood newborn. Well, hey, why is my ancestor's blood quantum 1/2? Why isn't he full-blooded? Was like one of his parents white and the other one native? Like, what's going on here? No, both his parents were full-blooded natives. But you see, the issue is his father, Fred, was too dark. So they called him a freedman. And you see here on the Dawes roll, they list freedmen as card-carrying members of the tribe, but they don't put a blood quantum. There's literally a blank space in the blood quantum category. So certain tribes, for example, my tribe, they say, hey, if you want to be a citizen, you have to not just have an ancestor that was on the Dawes roll, but they also have to have a blood quantum. And you can see they don't list the Indian blood of the freedmen. What does that mean? All the freedmen were African slaves? No. Some of the freedmen were full-blooded Indians, no African admixture at all, misclassified Indians that underwent a paper genocide, prisoners of war. But because they're dark, they don't get their blood quantum registered. So now, since Pleasant Tobler's father was a freedman, they don't acknowledge his father's Indian blood, and now they mark him as 1/2. So then if you look at my citizenship card, it says in my blood quantum category, I'm 132. Well, goddamn, my blood would be more pure than 132 if they had listed my ancestor like a full-blooded Indian he is, instead of discriminating on his father because he was too black. So if you guys hear me slip up and say we when referring to the freedmen, I still take up arms with the freedmen. I still rock out with the freedmen, even though my ancestor is technically Creek by blood and I was able to get into the tribe that way, and I don't, have the same plight and same fight as the freedmen. I rock with them, and I think they need more allies like me who are Creek by blood, because they've been trying to do some slick shit with the freedmen. These $5 Indians, y'all, they running amok. And when we talk about this case that the freedmen have been fighting to get citizenship, they actually have recently won. September 23rd, a judge in the Muscogee Creek Nation ruled in favor of 2 descendants of enslaved people known as freedmen. And this case could pave the way for the rest of the freedmen to get citizenship to the tribe. And there are certain tribes that used to not let freedmen in, and then they changed their policy. Like I believe the Chickasaw is one of them. And then there's some tribes who don't discriminate against the freedmen at all, like the Seminole Nation. So as you guys can see, this can be fairly complex, which is why I do provide those genealogy consultation services.
Evening, I had a genealogy consultation to figure out my Native American ancestry. And I was given a lot of valuable information this evening, from the origin of the tribes to the different ethnic breakdown to how everything was ran and colonized before, the discovery of Columbus, and after he came over here. So I think that you will find the value in the information as I did.
Citizen by blood, we all have to go through that process. And even back during the Dawes days, there was full blood Creeks who missed out on citizenship, and I'm sure there was some freedmen who did have Creek blood who probably missed.
Oh, Oh, so now he's going to admit that there were freedmen who had Creek blood who missed out on citizenship, but he doesn't want to get that rectified, right? Hey, I do know there were some freedmen who were full-blooded Indians. They weren't no African slaves. There was Indians, but, I still don't think we should let the freedmen get membership. What is man's talking about?
There was, full-blood Creeks who missed out on citizenship. And I'm sure there was some freedmen, who did have Creek blood who probably missed out on it too. But, that was 156 years ago.
But we don't give a fuck how long it's been. We don't care. The tribe's constitution was written 150 years ago, and you still want us to go by what's in the tribal constitution, but you don't want to go by the treaty. Oh, I know some freedmen by blood missed out, but it was 150 years ago. Fuck out of here. They don't want me on the reservation. I'm going to get, oh, Lord, they don't want me on the reservation. I'm just going to hold my tongue.
They did get land. They received a lot of land. And I'd just like to see our 1979 Constitution upheld. It's still premature. As far as we know, they have not been served yet. We've kind of read over the case file that they filed. I did contact the nation about it, and the word I received was that they will challenge the suit. And there are
6 years later, and the freedmen are winning in court. He mad as hell.
There are tribal nations who freedmen have won the case, and they do have citizenship. The Seminole Nation, they were the first ones, and then recently the Cherokee Nation, and now in 2018, the freedmen are filing against the Creek Nation. But the word was RAG will challenge the suit, and that was good news. I was happy to hear that, and we'll be paying attention, and we'll see what happens. I'm not a lawyer, so all I can do is I hope that anyone ruling on this, whatever federal judge gets this case, I would hope they would listen to us and realize that our sovereignty is based on our heritage, and this would
and you're trying to bar us from reparations that our ancestors were given by the Creek Nation and the U.S. government based on our phenotype and complexion. You racist ass $5 Indian, Mongolian, pretendian ass motherfucker, you. Hey, I'm just saying, Mike TV does not endorse hate speech, but how can I do this while still following YouTube community guidelines? Hey, if there's anybody out there that's a film producer, excuse me, if there's anybody out there that's a film producer, I got a good one for you guys. I'm working on a script, okay? We're going to take, it's going to be like the Hunger Games, right? We're going to take a wooded area of Alabama, and we're going to take 5 Native Black Americans and 5 pretendians, and they're each going to be armed with bow and arrow and quiver and hatchet, and we're going to find out who the real Aboriginals are, Playboy.
Change that in so many ways. We could go on about that for a while, but true sovereignty is being able to make our own constitution, pass our own laws, and even nowadays, a non-native can take me to tribal court and sue me, and they have, and they won. Can I take a non-Creek to our tribal court? No. Can our light horse arrest a non-native? No, they can't. So to me, there is no sovereignty. There's a limited sovereignty that we have, but it's not true sovereignty. And I think if this 1866 Constitution, or the articles that they're using, if those are
not that they're using the Treaty of 1866 that was signed by the Creek Nation and the U.S. government. It's a treaty. Now you want to be an Indian giver? Now you want to break treaties? Ain't that what y'all bitch about? Every time someone's about to build a new oil pipeline, y'all want to bitch and grovel and want the whole world to feel bad for you, right? But now you want to break a treaty because you don't like black folks.
They don't want you to remember this. You not no slave, you indigenous. Fuck how they painted them Indians. You went to war with the French and the British, man. Quite frankly, you was kings, Merovingians. They took the women and men, made them prisoners, raised up the children to worship their images, set up a lab to the genes and they mixed them. And this shit get way deeper than your pigment.